All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we're going to now get into my power rankings for this week, my top five teams after week 8. And like I said, the number 5 spot, especially, very tough to rank. Very tough because you can make the argument for several different teams. So let's kind of get into it right now. So obviously, um, I forget. Did I even do? Because I know I was sick. I forgot if I even did power rankings last week because there's just been a lot going on. Um, but yeah, so this is the number 5 spot, and I still got the Vikings here. I didn't want to just completely dismiss them from the top 5. I mean, they've lost their last 2 games, but they both have been close games. The Lions game, that was one of the best games of the weekend last week. They lost, what was it, 31-29? You had a 10-point lead, you lost it. Then they had the lead late, but then Jake Bates kicked the go-ahead field goal. And then you lose against the Rams. They were going back and forth, and then the Rams kind of pulled away. And I know everybody was complaining about the face mask penalty that was missed, and I get it. But that was still a close game that they lost. It's still a very good team, both sides of the ball. I will say, though, at times you do see Sam Darnold kind of revert back to, I guess the old Sam Darnold. Um, I mean, he is still having a good year, but you guys know what I mean, though. Where at times, the offense kind of stalls, and that kind of happened in the Rams game. You know, turnovers against the Lions. Still, he is doing well. He's in a good system. This team is still very talented. Um, but I didn't want to disrespect them by just knocking them off out of the top 5 after losing 2 games because I do think they will get back on the right track on Sunday against the Colts. But I got them at number 5. Then at number 4, moving up a spot, we got the Green Bay Packers. So they continue to find ways to win. Against the Jaguars, which I failed to mention, I did feel like that was kind of a trap game. The Packers are a team that, for some reason, when they go to Florida, they just don't play well, and it was kind of an Aaron Rodgers thing. I guess maybe it's still a Packers thing, but the Packers did end up getting the win at least. But yeah, they're 6-2 on the season. Their only losses are to the Vikings when they lost by 2 points, and then they lost to the Eagles by, I think, by 5 in Week 1 in Brazil. But other than that, I mean, they find ways to win. They haven't had Jordan Love all year, but since he's come back, he's played well. I mean, he wasn't great on Sunday before the injury, but he has played well. And the Packers, they got a lot of tough games coming up in the schedule as well. You still got the Lions twice. They got the Niners coming up. They're going to be in Seattle. There are definitely some tough games coming up. I think the defense, yeah, it wasn't great on Sunday, but it's starting to play better. I mean, against the Texans, they were great. They were able to get after C.J. Stroud. But they looking at the offense, they got a lot of weapons on this team, and they got Josh Jacobs going in this game against Jacksonville. Had over 130 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Actually, I don't think he had over 130 yards. I think that was a lie, even though I literally just talked about the game. He ended up finishing with 127 yards. He had a 38-yard touchdown run, but yeah, he had 127 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Getting him going is big. Like I said, they got a lot of weapons. Their young tight end Tucker Kraft, he's been good. He's been scoring touchdowns. Jaden Reed has had a good year. Romeo Dobbs, and you still got Christian Watson. This is a very good team, and I really am looking forward to this matchup against the Lions. I'm just hoping that Jordan Love does play, but if he doesn't, they will play in Detroit later in the year. But yeah, I got them at number 4. At number 3, I actually moved them down a spot. I got the Baltimore Ravens. They are coming off of a loss against the Browns on Sunday, which I was in attendance for, 29-24. They could have very easily won this game if they didn't drop passes and drop potential game-ending interceptions. or red zone interceptions, because there was one that Jameis threw that should have been picked off, but that ended up getting dropped. And then the other one later in the game, you gotta catch that, because then that leads to the Cedric Tillman touchdown. But I mean, this is still a top 5 team. This is still one of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, Lamar Jackson is playing at an MVP type level. He's not the reason that they lost on Sunday. He was awesome. Derrick Henry, the Browns defense did hold Derrick Henry to under 100 yards, but he still scored a touchdown. He's been great. Now you add Deontay Johnson to this group. That makes them better. The defense is the thing that's concerning. Their run defense is really good. Their pass defense, not so much. That's where my concern is. And also, there could be a big spot, maybe in the playoffs, where they need Justin Tucker to make a long field goal, and he could miss it, because he did miss another 50-yarder. I was telling you guys yesterday, we're seeing him kick it from basically midfield, and he was making some. So that's another thing to be concerned about. But I think the bigger concern of, whether it's Tucker or the defense, I think it's the defense. I think the pass defense, that's a concern. But still, the Ravens can put up points with anybody. I would have loved to have seen them right now take on the Chiefs, because we got that matchup early, as the first game of the year. And that game was great. It's just, I would have loved to have seen maybe them play the Chiefs later in the season. And maybe we will. Maybe we'll see it in the playoffs. But this is they're one of the best teams in the NFL right now. And, I expect them to go on another deep playoff run. Even though right now, you know what's funny? They're not even in first place in their division, but I still have them at 3. Got to see them against the Steelers at some point. It's coming up, but look, I think even with them, not being in first place at the moment, they're still, I think, better than the Steelers. But yeah, I got them at 3. Then at 2, I got the Lions. I know it was against the Titans, but the fact that Jared Goff had 88 yards passing and the Lions put up 52 points is impressive. But that just shows you how good they are. That game actually got off to an interesting start, because the Titans actually were putting up points on their defense. And this is another team where I kind of worry about their defense, especially with Aiden Hutchinson now being out for the season. But Jared Goff, like I said, 88 yards passing. Jahmyr Gibbs, had another big game. That combination of Montgomery and Gibbs, that's the best running back duo, I think, in the NFL. But yeah, this game was 14-14. But then after that, the Lions they took over. They just did not look back. The Titans did not score after it was 14-14. But yeah, another 100-plus yard performance by Jahmyr Gibbs, 127 yards rushing and a touchdown. Montgomery only had 33 yards on the ground, but he had a touchdown as well. He did throw a touchdown pass in the game too. But the Lions just continue to roll. Right now, they are the best team in the NFC. They are. Right now, they currently hold the number 1 seed. And that's why I keep saying, hey, that Super Bowl prediction doesn't look that bad right now. They're playing some good football. And look, the Aiden Hutchinson loss is huge, but I think this team can overcome that. It's because they could put up points with anybody. They can, and they got some big games coming up on the schedule. They got a lot of divisional games. You take on the Bills and the Niners. The Texans are coming up soon. So, there's some big games coming up, but I think the Lions will be up for the challenge. I don't think they're going to finish with 1 win on the season. I think there are definitely some losses in there, but, you got to love how they're playing right now. They're awesome. They're awesome to watch. But they are not the number 1 team. Unfortunately, for those that will be upset by this, I still got the Chiefs. Even though, I'll be honest, really did not watch the game against the Raiders, but didn't get a chance to it yet. But they're undefeated right now. And they just continue to find ways to win games. And they did it once again here against the Raiders. Mahomes throws a bad interception, way deep in their own territory. Raiders pick it off, and the Chiefs do not let them score. The Chiefs' defense, once again, is carrying this team. Mahomes has not been great. And maybe he does get it going in the second half. And even if he doesn't, we get to the postseason, the Chiefs are going to be different. You're still waiting on Isaiah Pacheco to come back. You'll eventually get him back. And maybe they're not done making moves yet. But if at least you get Pacheco back, that helps out this team a lot. A nice duo they'll have with Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. Kareem Hunt has done a nice job. Travis Kelce finally scored a touchdown this year. DeAndre Hopkins only had a couple of catches. But, you saw Xavier Worthy. He got into the end zone. D-Hop being there now, that helps out Worthy. Because, when Rashee Rice went down, now everybody's like, all right, now we got to focus on Worthy. Because he's the deep ball guy. But now you got D-Hop there, you got Kelce, and then you'll at least be getting Juju Smith-Schuster back, who had a good week against the Saints before he got hurt. So there are some players that are going to be coming back. And maybe that leads to Mahomes having a big second half. But it's just amazing how they just still find ways to win, and their quarterback has just not been great this year. He just hasn't. He's got a touchdown to interception ratio of 8-9. 8-9. We're going into week 9. Mahomes threw 50 touchdown passes his first full season as a quarterback, as a starting quarterback. It's amazing. But they just continue to find ways, and they got the Bills coming up on the schedule. I'm trying to get to there. Yeah, so they take on the Bucs on Monday night. Then you got the Broncos. Then you got the Bills. Then you got the Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, Browns, Texans, Steelers, Broncos. There's some tough games in there. But can the Chiefs run the table and go undefeated? I don't think they're going undefeated. If they go undefeated in the regular season, I would be a little bit surprised. Not completely, but a little bit. Just because how they've played offensively and just some of the teams that they have coming up on the schedule. I feel like there are teams there that could, like the Bills in Buffalo. They couldn't do it in the playoffs last year, but like I've said on previous shows, Josh Allen, he does beat Patrick Mahomes in the regular season. So it could be that game. The Texans maybe later in the season. The Steelers maybe. Do the Raiders pull off an upset on another standalone game on a random weekday? I mean, last year was on a Monday, which that's when football is usually played, but, it was like a Monday afternoon on a holiday, and then you got the Black Friday game coming up in Arrowhead. So, we'll see. But I got the Chiefs at 1 until someone can beat them. But to go through it again, got the Vikings at 5, the Packers at 4, Ravens 3, Lions 2, Chiefs 1. Let me know what you guys think about these rankings. How would your rankings be? Let me know in the comments. And yeah, that is pretty much it for the show for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out all the other shows. Give the other shows some love. Make sure to subscribe. Leave a comment and like the video. Really appreciate it. I'll try to get to whatever comments you may have. And yeah, as always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.